It's your birthday, and you're having a good time at the dinner table with your family. Dinner ends, and you feel the urge to relieve your bladder, so you go to your bathroom and close the door behind you. As you're taking a leak, you notice something scurrying from out a deep corner of the bathroom through the corner of your eye. You now look directly at it to see it's a mouse, and you know very well that you do not have any pets. It's trying to escape the bathroom, but since you closed the door, it can't. What you decide to do next will be the determining factor of your intelligence. Hey guys, Aastran here. What is of the hyper-level orientated perspective? Now in today's video, I'm going to be telling you about the time where I got bit by a mouse on my 11th birthday. But I got bit more than once. So here's what happened. It was like about in the middle-ish to end of my birthday dinner, and I had to take a leak. So I went upstairs to my bathroom, and I closed the door behind me. Here's a visual of what my bathroom looks like. There's a tub, a toilet bowl, a sink, the door, and then a radiator. As I was about to let loose, something moving fast in the right of my peripheral field caught my attention. I looked over to see it was a mouse. There's a crevice in between the sink and the wall on the right side of the sink, and that mouse quickly scurried from that crevice to the door. Like, this thing was scared. When the mouse was at the door, it jumped and scratched at the part where the door's supposed to open for like 5 seconds. This stopped the initiation of the urination process. When the mouse gave up jumping and scratching, it hid in a new corner. I paced around to see where it went, and when I got close enough, it ran towards the door and started jumping and scratching again. Since mice can't open doors, the mouse went into a cycle of jumping and scratching at the door for 5 seconds, then giving up, then hiding in a new corner of the bathroom each time, until I eventually came too close to it. And it did this cycle for a few times. Now here's where you can tell how intelligent I was at the time. After those few cycles, I chose to break it by trying to pick up the mouse when it was at the door. Why? Because at the time, I thought it was cute because I had never held a mouse or a rat or anything of that sort before, and I just really liked the cute fuzziness and overall how mice look. To carry this out, I waited for it to jump so my hand could catch it on its way down, and it worked. I quickly held it in a way that made the head stick out while the rest of the body was encompassed by my right hand. I crouched to catch it, so I stood back up. In the process of getting back up, I felt a sharp pain in the index finger of my right hand. It was so sharp that I immediately dropped the mouse, and then the mouse went back into hiding. I looked down at my finger to see that there was obviously a bite mark. I don't know if you've been bit by a human before, but it looks like the type of bite you would get from like a really young child. Instead of a parabola, it was just 2 teeth. Not long after looking at the bite mark, it started to fill with blood. Since my finger was bleeding, I went to wash it off. When I stopped rinsing it, it kept bleeding. So I took toilet paper to stop the bleeding, and it worked. Until I decided to find the mouse again and pick it up because I thought it would get used to me holding it. I actually thought it would get used to me. In its eyes, a strange Goliath-like creature from the lowest reaches of hell that is holding it and also having it suspended in air. Sure enough, I got bit again, but this time I became smarter about it. Since I thought it had to get used to me, I endured the first bite. Guess what happens next? Just guess what happens next. I get bit again. I got furious for the mouse not liking me, and I forcefully tossed it into the toilet as the seat was still up from when I was about to pee. In the process of releasing the mouse into the toilet, I got bit a 3rd time before letting go. When it landed into the toilet, it tried scurrying it out, but it could not, since toilet bowls are made out of porcelain, and on top of that, the toilet bowl is like wet because it contains water, so there's no way for anything of that size to get out of the toilet if put in. I watched it move around in the toilet bowl for a bit. It went into this cycle of trying to scurry out the toilet bowl and running out of energy. Okay, get this. Since I was still furious and I still had to pee, I stood over the toilet and I unzipped my pants and everything. Emphasis on furious. I aimed at the mouse. Then I let everything out like a fire hose. Now a constant stream of my piss is hitting this mouse, and it causes it to start scurrying again because it ran out of energy. But now it was trying to escape the constant stream of piss. Like when it tried scurrying out the toilet bowl, it was scurrying one way, but when I started peeing on it, it actually went the other way, so it was actually evading my attack. Not only did it go in the opposite direction, but it started to go all around the toilet bowl as I was making sure it was getting the full brunt of my attack. Keep in mind, I was 11, I'm 17 now. This stream of pee wasn't the ordinary stream of pee. Let me tell you, since before I let it go, I had to pee badly. Also, I know this technique which makes one pee faster and harder. I think like the actual term for it is like force peeing or something. Essentially, I was Blastoise, and this mouse was getting the full extent of my hydro cannon. I mean, like, I aimed for the head since I was so furious. As I said before, it was trying to escape my stream by swimming around the toilet bowl, but it was not. Finally, when the stream ended, I was still angry, so I reached for the lever of the toilet bowl and I forcefully pulled it down. The toilet starts going, and I just see this mouse getting ragdolled by the currents of the toilet. Hopelessly, it like spun around with the current like 3 or 4 times, then eventually it was gone. Since I got bit a few more times again, and I obviously started to bleed again, well, actually bleed more because I was already bleeding from the first bite, I washed my hands again. So just as before, after I washed my hands, my finger was still bleeding, which made me use more toilet paper. I then brought attention to what I've done to my parents, because I wanted to make sure I was okay from the mouse bites. In a nutshell, my parents were like, for fuck's sake, and they decided to take me to the hospital. At least one did, cause the other one did not want to have to deal with this stupid shit. So I was driven to the hospital, and I was given like a saltwater type little container to put my hands in when I told the doctor what happened. Eventually the doctor asked something along the lines of, "Did you catch the mouse?" And I told her I flushed it down the toilet, and thankfully there was no need to tell her the other details of what happened before I flushed the mouse down the toilet. But ultimately I was told that I should not have flushed the mouse down the toilet because like I could have brought it in and they could have like tested it for diseases that it could have potentially have had, and if they found anything they could like give me some sort of drug or antibiotic to help fight against what the mouse had, and I was discharged from the hospital. Thankfully I'm fine now and I didn't get fucking rabies, cause I've heard that supposedly there are like 30 strains of rabies, and if you get like one form of rabies you have to get like 30 shots to cure it. So thankfully that wasn't the case. Before and after I went to the hospital, I got yelled at by my parents. Obviously it was in such a way where I think I committed something so stupid that like it literally made them think sideways. Cause get this, when my parents angrily questioned me by asking, "This is what you give me for your birthday?" They literally said this multiple times over and over, as if it was their birthday I had just ruined. But don't get me wrong here, I kinda like did ruin their night, cause it was like 10 o'clock I think. Everyone at that time, they just like wanted to go to bed. We just had like a good time at the table. Who wants to go to like the hospital for some dumb reason like this? Looking back on this experience, I can say I was really stupid or really crazy when I was 11. Thankfully, I'm not like that now, cause I'm 17 now, and I think I've grown up a bit. I don't know what possessed me to take a wild mouse and try to hold it as if it's a tamed pet. Then when the mouse bit me for the first time, I picked it up a second time. It was then I became beyond furious at the poor little soul and forcefully tossed it into a toilet, then proceeded to urinate on it as revenge because it did not like me. Why all this? Because I thought mice are cute and that they would warm up the more they are held by a giant creature in their eyes, which they had very little interaction with up until that point. Holy shit, I was so stupid when I was 11. And that's it. Probably one of the stupidest life stories I'm ever gonna tell. That was the time I got bit by a mouse 3 or 4 times on my birthday. This has been Aastran, and I'm out. Have a good one.